Hello, hello, hello. What's going on today? It's your girl, Dr. J. And guess what time it is? It is book reading time. We are reading The Compound Effect, Jumpstart Your Income, Your Life, Your Success by Darren Hardy. We are on chapter 2, page 35. So we're going to read about 10 more pages of this, and we still won't get, we might get through page 2. There'll be about 4 pages left, so we'll see. We'll just do 10 pages. Okay. All right, page 35, Money Track. I learned the power of tracking the hard way. Oh, by the way, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. I learned the power of tracking the hard way after I'd acted like a colossal idiot about my finances. Back in my early 20s, when I was making a lot of money selling real estate, I met with my accountant. You owe well over $100,000 in taxes, he said. What? I said, I don't have that kind of cash just lying around. Why not? He asked. You collected several times that. Certainly you set aside the taxes that would be due on that money. Evidently I didn't, I said. Where did the money go? He said. Or he asked, rather. I don't know, I said. A sobering confession for sure. The money had passed through my hands like water and I hadn't even noticed. Then my accountant did me a great favor. Son, he said, look at me dead in the eyes. You've got to get a grip. You've got to get a grip. I've seen this 100 times before. You're spending money like a drunken fool and you don't even know how to account for it. That's stupid. Stop it. You are now seriously in the hole. You have to earn more money that you'll owe additional taxes on just to pay for your back taxes. Continue this and you'll dig your financial grave with your own wallet. I immediately got the message. Here's what my accountant had me do. Carry a small notepad in my back pocket and write down every single cent I spent for 30 days. Whether it was $1,000 for a new suit or 50 cents for air to fill up my tires. It all had to go down on the notepad. Wow. This brought an instantaneous awareness of the many unconscious choices I was making that resulted in money pouring out of my pockets because I had to log everything. I resisted buying some things just so I didn't have to take out the notepad and write it in the dang book. Good exercise that maybe whoever's listening to should do. Keeping a money log for 30 days straight cemented a new awareness in me and created a completely new set of choices and discipline around my spending. I found myself being more proactive with money in general. Putting away more for retirement, finding areas to save where there was clear waste, and enjoying the fun quoting of money, play money, all the more. When I did consider shelling out for entertainment, I did so only after a long pause. This tracking exercise changed my awareness of how I related to my money. It works so well, in fact, that I've used it many times to change other behaviors. Tracking is my go-to transformation model for everything that ails me. Over the years, I've tracked what I eat. I've tracked what I drink, how much I exercise. I even track how much I spend improving a skill. I track my number of sales, the number of calls. I track even the improvement of my relationships with my family. I track it with my friends. I track it with my spouse. This result has been no less profound than my money tracking wake up call. If this is good, like and subscribe. In buying this book, you're basically paying me for my opinion, my guidance. This is where I'm going to become a hard ass and insist you track your behavior for at least one whole week. This book isn't designed to entertain you, designed to help you get results. To get results, you have to take some action. You may have heard about tracking before. In fact, you've probably done your own version of this exercise, but I also bet you aren't doing it now, right? How do I know? Because your life isn't working as successful as you'd like. You've gotten derailed. Tracking is the way to get it back on track. Do you know how the casinos make so much money in Vegas? Because they track every table, every winner, every hour. Why do Olympic trainers get paid top dollar? Because they track every workout, every calorie, and every micronutrient for their athletes. All winners are trackable. Right now, I want you to track your life with the same intention to bring your goals within sight. Tracking is a simple exercise. It works because it brings moment-to-moment awareness to the actions you take in the area of your life you want to improve. You'll be surprised at what you observe about your behavior. You cannot manage or improve something until you measure it. Likewise, you can't make the most of who you are, your talents and resources and capabilities until you are aware of and accountable for your actions. Every professional athlete and his or her coach track each performance down to the smallest minute. Pitchers know their stats on every pitch in their repertoire. Golfers have even more metrics on their swing. Professional athletes know how to adjust their performance based on what they've tracked. They pay attention to what they record and they make changes accordingly because they know when their stats improve, they win more games and earn more in endorsement deals. At any given moment, I want you to know exactly how well you're doing. I'm asking you to track yourself as if you're a valuable commodity, because you are. Want that idiot-proof system we talked about earlier? This is it. So regardless of whether you think you're aware of your habits or not, believe me, you're not. I'm asking you to start tracking. Doing so will revolutionize your life and ultimately your lifestyle. If that was good, drop something in the comments saying it was good. All right, next section. Keep it slow and easy. Don't panic. We're starting off with an easy breezy tempo. Just track one habit for 1 week. Pick the habit that has the greatest control over you. That's where you'll start. Once you begin reaping the rewards of the compound effect, you'll naturally want to introduce this practice into other areas of your life. In other words, you'll choose tracking. Let's say the category you choose is getting your eating under control because you want to lose weight. Your task is to write down everything you put in your mouth, from the steak, potatoes, and salad you have at dinner to those many tiny choices during the day. That handful of pretzels in the break room, that second slice of cheese on your sandwich, that fun-sized candy bar, that sample at Costco, those extra sips of wine after the host tops off your glass. Don't forget the beverages. They all add up, but unless tracked, they're easy to dismiss or forget because they seem so small. And it is, but only when you do it. That's why I'm asking that you commit to choosing a category and a start date. Now, before you turn this page, I'm going to start tracking blank on blank date, month, and year. I'm going to start tracking listed and then put the date you're going to start. What will the tracking look like? It will be thorough, as in organized, and relentless, as in constant. Each day, you'll start with the date at the top of a fresh page and start keeping track. What happens after the first week of tracking? You'll probably be in shock. You'll be astonished at how those calories, pennies, minutes have been escaping you. You never even knew that they were there, let alone that they vanished. Now keep going. You're going to track in this one area for 3 weeks after you've done 1 week. Maybe you're already groaning. You just don't want to do it. But trust me, you'll be blown away By the results after 1 week, you'll sign yourself up for another 2. I can practically guarantee it. Why 3 weeks? You've heard psychologists say that something doesn't become a habit until you practice it for 3 weeks. It's not an exact science, but it's a good benchmark and has worked for me. So ideally, I want you to stick with your choice to track your behaviors for 21 days. If you refuse, I'm not going to lose anything. Heck, it's not my waistline, my cardiovascular health, my bank balance, or my relationship you're messing with. But seriously, you're reading this book because you want to change your life, right? And I promised you it was going to take slow, steady work, didn't I? This one action isn't easy, but it's simple and doable, so do it. Promise yourself to start. Today, for the next 3 weeks, choose to carry around your own small notepad or large one, if that's more enticing, and write every single thing down in your category. What happens in 3 weeks? You move from the shock that follows the first week to the happy surprise of seeing how merely being conscious of your actions begins to shape them. You'll find yourself asking, do I really want that candy bar? I'm going to have to haul out my notebook and write it down, and I'll feel a little sheepish. That's 200 calories saved right there. Turn down that candy bar every day. In a little more than 2 weeks, you have already lost a pound. You'll start adding up that $4 coffee on the way to work and realize, holy cow, I've just spent $60 on coffee in 3 weeks. Hey, that's $1,000 a year. Or compounded, that's $51,833.79 in 20 years. How much do you really need to stop for coffee? Come again, and I'm saying that your $4 a day coffee habit is going to cost you $51,833.79 in 20 years compounded. Yes, I am. Did you know that every dollar you spend today, no matter where you spend it, is costing you nearly $5 in only 20 years and $10 in 30 years? That's because if you took $1 and invested it at 8%, in 20 years, that dollar will be worth almost $5. Every time you spend $1 today, it's like taking $5 out of your future pocket. I used to make the mistake of looking at a price tag and thinking that if an item was listed at $50, it cost me $50. Well, yes, in today's dollars, but if you consider the potential value of that same $50 after it has been invested for 20 years, the cost, what you lose by spending that money rather than investing it, is 4 or 5 times greater. In other words, every time you look at an item that costs $50, you have to ask, is this item worth $250? Is it worth $250 to you today? Then it's worth buying. Keep that in mind next time you go to a place like Costco with all sorts of amazing things that you didn't know you had to have. You go in to buy $25 worth of necessities and walk out with $400 of stuff instead. My garage looks like a Costco graveyard. Next time you walk into one of those bargain basement stores, assess things from the future value standpoint. Chances are you'll put down that $50 crepe maker, so future you will have $250 more in the bank. Make the correct choice every day, every week, for many years, and you can quickly see how you can become financially abundant every time. When you track with this awareness, you'll find yourself showing up in your life very differently. You'll be able to ask yourself, is that coffee, is having coffee once every workday worth the eventual price of a Mercedes-Benz? Because that's what it's costing you. Even more than that, you're not sleepwalking anymore. You're aware and conscious and making better choices, all from a little notebook and pen. Simply amazing, isn't it? The unsung hero. Once you start tracking your life, your attention will be focused on the smallest things you're doing right, as well as the smallest things you're doing wrong. And when you choose to make even the smallest course corrections consistently, over time, you'll begin to see amazing results. But don't expect immediate fanfare. When I say small course corrections, I am talking truly invisible. Chances are no one's going to notice them anytime soon. There will be no applause. No one's going to send you a congratulations card or a trophy for these disciplines. And yet, eventually, their compounding effect will result in an exceptional payoff. It's the littlest disciplines that pay off over time. The effort and preparation for the great triumph that happened when no one was looking, and yet the results are exceptional. A horse wins by a nose, but gets 10 times the prize money. Is the horse 10 times faster? No, just a little bit better. But it was those extra laps around the track, the extra discipline in the horse's nutrition, or the extra work by the jockey that made the results a slight bit better with compounded rewards. After hundreds of tournaments played and thousands of strokes tallied, the difference between the number 1 ranked golfer and the number 10 golfer is an average of only 1.9 strokes. But the difference in prize money is 5 times, over 10 million versus 2 million. The number 1 golfer isn't 5 times better, not even 50% or even 10% better. In fact, the difference between his average score is only 2.7% better, yet the results are 5 times greater. That's the power of little things adding up. It's not the big things that add up in the end. It's the hundreds, thousands, or millions of little things that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. To be 1 stroke better requires countless little things that don't get accounted for when you're putting on the green jacket. Let me give you a few more tracking. Small changes can result in huge payoffs. A few more examples, I guess. Okay, take a walk. I was mentoring a CEO of a sizable company doing more than 100 million in sales annually. Phil was an entrepreneur and founder of the company. The company was doing fine, but I detected a lack of engagement, trust, and enthusiasm in the culture of his organization. Wasn't too surprised. It turns out that Phil hadn't been in parts of his own building for more than 5 years. He'd never spoken personally to more than 80% of his staff. He basically lived in a bubble with his management team. I asked Phil to track just one change. 3 times a week, he had to step outside of his office and walk around the building. His goal was to seek out at least 3 people whom he saw doing things right or had heard good things about and give them some personal acknowledgement of his appreciation. This one small change in his behavior took less than an hour a week, but had massive effects over time. The employees Phil took the time to recognize began to go the extra mile and work harder to earn his greatest appreciation. Other employees started to perform better. Observing that great effort was recognized and appreciated, the ripple effect of their new attitude transferred to their customer interactions, improving the customer's experience with the company, increasing repeat and referral business, which increased everyone's pride. That simple change over the period of 18 months did a complete 180 on the company culture. Net profits grew by more than 30% during that time, utilizing the same staff and 0 additional investment in marketing. All because Phil committed to one small, seemingly insignificant step done consistently over time. We're going to stop there. That was 10 pages. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you know next time. And, if you're brave enough, put it in the comments. What are you going to start tracking? What are you going to start tracking? You don't have to give us the date of when, but what category are you going to start tracking? You have an amazing day. I'm Dr. J. Take care.